When it comes to the most notorious and brutal crime lords on the planet, many people immediately think of names that have become a global nightmare, wielding dark power beyond national borders and associated with horrific crimes. Below is a compilation of the 10 most famous crime lords, each representing a criminal force that makes the world wary, fearful, and has often plunged it into chaos under the shadow they create. These figures not only control drug, weapons, and human trafficking networks and other illegal activities, but also leave a deep mark in the history of international crime with their unlimited brutality. 1. Pablo Escobar, the cocaine emperor kingpin of Colombia. Pablo Escobar was the powerful kingpin icon of Colombia's underworld in the 1980s. As the founder and leader of the Medellin cartel, Escobar transformed the organization into a terrifying drug empire, controlling 80% of the cocaine market supplied to the United States. Infamous by the nickname El Patron, Escobar was not only wealthy, with assets at times reaching billions of dollars, but also brutal, willing to order the killing of anyone who stood in his way, including police officers, politicians, or innocent civilians. Under his leadership, Medellin became one of the most dangerous cities on the planet. Decades after Escobar was eliminated in 1993, his name remains a haunting presence for Colombia and the FBI. 2. Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán, leader of the Sinaloa cartel Mexico. Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán, one of the most powerful drug lords of the 21st century, is known for his ability to escape from maximum security prisons. Under El Chapo's iron-fisted rule, Sinaloa controls most of the drug trafficking into the United States, from cocaine and heroin to methamphetamine. Guzman did not hesitate to use extreme violence, killing rivals as well as witnesses, police officers, and journalists. Beyond his enormous wealth, power, and network that extends from Mexico to the West, El Chapo's name has become a terror for international crime-fighting forces. 3. Dawood Ibrahim, king of the Indian underworld. When it comes to crime in India, Dawood Ibrahim can be considered the head of one of the largest mafia organizations in the South Asian region, D Company. Not only involved in drug trafficking, protection rackets, and corruption, this organization is also linked to terrorist activities and transnational money laundering. Dawood is currently one of the most wanted individuals globally due to his leadership role in the 93 Mumbai bombings that killed over 250 people. With a network extending across the Middle East, South Asia, and even Europe, Dawood Ibrahim is a symbol of a dangerous underground power in India and internationally. 4. Al Capone, the legendary boss of America. Al Capone, also known as Scarface, is one of the most famous figures in the history of American crime. During the Prohibition era in Chicago, 1920 to 1933, Capone controlled thousands of illegal bars, casinos, and brothels, accumulating enormous wealth through sophisticated criminal activities accompanied by bloody violence. Capone built a notorious mafia empire, ready to eliminate rivals through shocking shootings such as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre in 1929. Although he was imprisoned for tax evasion, Al Capone remains an immortal symbol of the American mafia. 5. Matteo Messina Denaro, leader of the Sicilian Mafia. Matteo Messina Denaro is a name that has sent chills through Italy for decades. As the leader of the Cosa Nostra group in Sicily, Denaro was directly involved in hundreds of murders, bombings, extortions, and international drug trafficking activities. His cruelty, cunning, and secret network helped him evade the law for nearly 30 years before being captured in 2023. Denaro was nicknamed Diabolic, known for his luxurious tastes and his ability to run an entire mafia system like a criminal economic corporation. 6. Semyon Mogilevich, the boss of the Russian bosses. Semyon Mogilevich is a Russian-Ukrainian supercriminal who was listed by the FBI among the world's 10 most wanted criminals for charges, including fraud, money laundering, arms trafficking, human trafficking, and transnational extortion. Known as the Brainy Don, Mogilevich not only heads a complex international mafia organization, but is also believed to have influence over politicians and power circles in Russia, Eastern Europe, and the West. His cold-bloodedness, brutality, and mysterious operational strategies have caused headaches for many intelligence agencies. 7. Griselda Blanco, the cold-blooded queen of the cocaine road. In the list of crime bosses, one cannot fail to mention La Madrina, Griselda Blanco, the female criminal who turned Miami into the notorious drug capital in the 1980s. As the leader of massive cocaine trafficking routes from Colombia to the U.S., Blanco became famous for her brutal management style, ordering the murder of countless people to maintain her position of power. She has been the inspiration for many films about the Latin American mafia, praised as the coldest godmother of modern times, and an immortal icon in the history of South American organized crime. 8. Amado Carrillo Fuentes, the Sky King of Mexico. Amado Carrillo Fuentes, nicknamed El Señor de los Cielos, or the Lord of the Skies, was the head of the Juarez cartel, one of the largest drug cartels in Mexico during the 1990s. Carrillo owned a fleet of planes that transported tons of cocaine to the United States, making huge profits by exploiting airspace to evade law enforcement control. To conceal his identity, he underwent multiple plastic surgeries before suddenly dying on the operating table, and continues to be an inspiring figure for famous crime films. 9. Ismael El Mayo, Zambada Garcia, the surviving boss of Sinaloa. Ismael Zambada, nicknamed El Mayo, is one of the few people who have survived and maintained power for decades in the Mexican criminal world. Co-founder of the Sinaloa cartel alongside El Chapo, El Mayo has never been captured despite intense manhunts by the FBI and DEA. It is believed that he is the mastermind behind all the cartel's activities, including drug trafficking, extortion, murder, and money laundering from the U.S. back to Mexico. His rivals fear him not only for his brutality, but also for his strategic and cunning mind. 10. Salvatore Riina, the monster of Cosa Nostra. Salvatore Toto Riina is a notorious symbol of the Sicilian mafia. As the undisputed leader of Cosa Nostra from the 1980s until his arrest in 1993, Riina was nicknamed the Monster of Corleone. He ordered a series of cold-blooded purges, killing not only rivals but also judges, prosecutors, and innocent people, including the two famous judges Giovanni Falcone and Paolo Borsellino. Riina's method of leadership is considered the most extreme in the history of the Italian mafia and shook the entire country for decades. Looking back, each of these crime lords carries a unique story of power, cold-bloodedness, and unlimited brutality. They turned cities, countries, and even continents into underground battlefields filled with death. Law enforcement agencies around the world work day and night to combat this criminal network, combining skills, intelligence, and courage to fight against their dark forces. However, even though many crime lords have been eliminated or imprisoned, the shadow they left still covers many parts of the world, reminding humanity that cruelty, greed, and power remain an unpredictable threat in modern society. If the global crime matrix is likened to a giant spiderweb, then these bosses are the black, venomous spiders at the center, pulling the strings and turning the entire complex underground operation, regardless of boundaries, laws, or human lives. They manipulate money flows, weapons, drugs, and even political power to consolidate their positions. The price paid is millions of families torn apart, chaotic societies, and prolonged instability lasting centuries worldwide. Brutality is the prominent common trait among the bosses. Their opponents can be not only political figures and the police, but also anyone who dares to stand in their way, from competitors to traitors within their own organization. Violence for them is a command, a tool to maintain their supreme position in the underworld. Many bosses also establish extremely sophisticated protection systems, with hundreds of bodyguards surrounding them in layers, ready to use guns, bombs, or any means to eliminate risks. Some kingpins like Escobar, Riina, and Griselda Blanco even turned themselves into almost legendary figures, both terrifying many people and attracting the curiosity of the media and the public. That fame sometimes went so far as to become an endless source of inspiration for films, books, and works of art. However, the reality is much more brutal. Beneath the glamorous exterior, They only left bloodstains on lawsuits, verdicts, and history books full of tragedy. It seems that the most powerful criminal organizations always have the shadow of a notorious boss behind them. Through cunning interpersonal skills, these bosses easily manipulate the police apparatus and politics, contributing to the distortion of the justice process and even shielding illegal activities from unlimited development. More than once, these underground forces have also monopolized the entire financial market, society, and the life of a country or territory. For example, in Mexico, El Chapo and El Mayo have prolonged the drug war endlessly, leaving tens of thousands dead, escalating violence, and people living in fear and despair. In Colombia, the years under Escobar's rule turned the place into the capital of death, with murders and purges between gangs happening daily as a routine. Meanwhile, organizations like the Italian mafia extend their tentacles to other countries, engaging in human trafficking, drug trafficking, money laundering, and controlling legitimate economic sectors. Matteo Messina Denaro and Salvatore Riina are two typical examples of unimaginable power and brutality that shocked all of Europe. In addition, the development of globalization and digital technology also helps modern crime lords increase their power. Dawood Ibrahim or Semyon Mogilevich skillfully utilize international financial channels, remain hidden through hundreds of shell companies, launder assets, and manage international operations with just a few phone calls or computer commands. The sophistication in hiding and transporting also forces countries to cooperate in order to hope to dismantle even a small part of the criminal networks they lead. Besides, the figure of the boss not only appears in men, but also in female bosses, like Griselda Blanco. These women in the underworld are equally cold-blooded and decisive, ready to eliminate even close friends to maintain their position of power. Some crime bosses, after being arrested or killed, still have their power passed down through succeeding generations or other deputy bosses. There was a saying, "Kill one boss and two new bosses will appear." This accurately reflects the persistent and highly adaptive nature of transnational criminal organizations, an ongoing challenge for global law enforcement. Looking back at the journey of the 10 most ruthless crime lords on the planet, as recounted above, a cold conclusion can be drawn. Organized crime always exists as a ghost haunting humanity. Despite many efforts to capture, prosecute, and reform the law, the new bosses are always ready to take their place, continuing the endless cycle of crime. This is also why, whenever the footsteps of Pablo Escobar, El Chapo, Capone, or Denaro are mentioned, people still shudder at the real legends and myths about an underground force that the world has yet to completely drown under the light of justice and freedom.